All right, hello, my name is Kenny Johnston. I'm the Director of Product for Ops. I'm going to be recording a product walkthrough today. It's the first in a series of walkthroughs. Today I'm by myself, so I'll do a little bit of talking to myself as I go through the process. Let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, hopefully that is sharing. Let me reorganize my windows. Okay, looks like it is sharing this page. Actually, I wanted to share my whole screen. Do that. Okay, cool. So product walkthroughs. First one we're going to do was a speedrun baseline. So what we're going to do is go through our kind of standard idea to monitor demo with an Auto DevOps enabled test project. So I'm going to go to gitlab.com. Look at my projects. Might go ahead and use personal group. Actually, I'll just create a new project. New project is called, let's do ops test, put it in my area, make it public, and we want to create it from a template. So I think, I'm not exactly sure which one is going to lead us to the most success. So maybe we start with a Ruby. Well, let's do the Node.js one. This again. Create. Now, I'm familiar that I need to attach Kubernetes cluster in order for Auto DevOps to run. Auto DevOps will automatically build, test, and deploy your application based on predefined CI/CD communication or configuration. Learn more about Auto DevOps. Maybe I just don't need to learn more. Just enable it. Default to Auto DevOps pipeline. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Just deploy. Don't need to do incremental. Okay, our new Auto DevOps pipeline has been created. Check out your pipelines page. There it is. It's running. Not really sure what it's going to be running on. Go back to this documentation. Enabled by default. It's on, quick start. Okay, so quick start guide that I need a Kubernetes cluster. Makes sense? Create it from a template. I did that part. Choose create a Google Kubernetes engine. On our project's landing page, I should have clicked add a Kubernetes cluster. That makes sense. I know that there are some issues with Kubernetes, internal Kubernetes clusters, so I might just use my personal account. Let's start there. I create a new cluster on GKE. Let's make sure I'm selecting the right Google account. Oh, I don't have multiples on this profile. Let's make sure I connect that other profile. It's confirming my second. That is me looking at my phone. Okay. So now I have both. So now I think if I'm going back to this Kubernetes cluster, here we go. Okay, let's use my personal account real quick. Kubernetes cluster name, hop test, environment scope, Google Cloud Platform project, put in my project. I don't need 3, I need 1 node, and I can use standard, and it will be a GitLab managed cluster. Let's create that. Created. Maybe I can read ahead a little bit. I want to create a Google Kubernetes cluster. I did those things. I chose the right one. Thanks for that. Add cluster details. Tell me to do all those things. So don't select F1 micro. I'm glad I didn't do that. And this is all about after the cluster is created. What do I do? So I'll just wait. I am curious as to what's happening with that pipeline. Pipeline's running, built. It's doing all these other tests as part of Auto DevOps, but I don't see the deployment job. So maybe it needs me to have a Kubernetes cluster attached in order to do the deployment job. I'll make a little note that while the docs make sense for the process of creating a cluster first, my natural inclination was to turn on Auto DevOps. Still creating. So I think once I get this, I'm familiar with this next screen, but I'm going to install Helm so I can install other GitLab managed applications, including Prometheus, Ingress, and I think those are the only 2 that I need. I'll not install GitLab Runner because I'm using the shared runners on GitLab.com. I'm going to go check and see what I got in this account. Says it's up and running. This is still spinning. I'm going to refresh this page. Yeah, still spinning. Let's see what this tells me about the cluster. Network unavailable. Wondering if still some containers being created. Now it says it's ready. There you go, and there it is. So first step was install Helm Tiller. That's done. Then we said we also want to install Ingress. Okay, that's done. Although this Ingress endpoint is still spinning, but I'm going to go ahead and click install on Prometheus as well. Looks like Prometheus is installed. Still waiting for this wildcard, or for this endpoint that I can use for my DNS entry. It looked like was the next thing. So the quick start said, grab that IP address. I'm going to use that when I enabled Auto DevOps, which I actually already did. But I guess I'm going to go back and edit that configuration so that it points to the right domain. Okay, I got that endpoint. And the instruction said, go back to your name settings CI/CD Auto DevOps. Let's do that. Settings CI/CD Auto DevOps. So I enabled it. You must add a base domain to your Kubernetes cluster. So maybe the docs are out of date. This quick start guide says, add in your base domain by using the one GitLab. So it said to add it here, but maybe we moved it and these docs need to be updated. So let's go back to my cluster. Okay, my cluster has this base domain now. So I do that, and it's suggested to use the no IP redirector. So, okay, save those changes. That's been changed. Oh, cool. I installed Prometheus. Now at least I get these charts for cluster health. That's kind of cool. Let's go back. So in the quick start guide, it was telling me after I've done that, I should get a new pipeline. So let's check out and see if my pipeline is running. Back to pipelines. So that pipeline, the initial pipeline completed. Let's look at other pipelines. No, that is the only one. So maybe, what should I do? Maybe I run a pipeline again. Okay, that looks right. Now that it sees I have a Kubernetes cluster attached, it's gonna run to production and these performance. Okay, seems like we're back on track after I started in that wrong direction. Let me add a quick note that the documentation points to adding base domain in. And instead, I add it to the cluster. What am I typing? Okay. Back to this. Once it gets deployed to production, I should have an environment set up and I can look at what's going on in monitoring and what metrics we're collecting. And then I would love to make a change and see what happens. But first, let's see where we are on these pipelines. Pipeline's still building. Let's go back to my, these are instructions. I don't need the compute engine stuff anymore, hopefully. That was for information. That was when I followed to find more about what the base domain meant. These are my instructions. Okay, I got CI/CD settings. Let's just go back to the top of this project and keep that up. Okay, so I have this project. Tells me auto is enabled, tells me Kubernetes is configured. That's cool. Says it's got a security dashboard. That's cool. And I have this pipeline running. Through build, now moving to test. We should see it deployed to production. Let's just see what happens if I look at the environments that I have today. I have production, but no deployments yet. That makes sense. See if I look at metrics. I have an environment for production, no data found. That makes sense. There's no environment. We're not collecting any data for this production environment from Prometheus. So that's cool. Let's just look around here. We said we had Kubernetes. We're already looking at that. This is the cluster that it's attached. It's attached to the project level. Again, performance data looks like there's both capacity usage and requested. That's great. What other things can I look at? Tracing. I don't have a Jaeger server, so nothing I can do here. Error tracking. Enable error tracking. I wonder where this is going to take me. Let me just check on these pipelines. Still running, taking some time. Let's go explore over here. Enable error tracking. Operation settings. I have something about incidents. Oh, that's cool. I can just jump to me to settings operations. I can create an issue for each alert triggered. There's no template, but I guess I could add some templates. Error tracking. I could link to a Sentry server and tracing. We said I could also link to a Jaeger server. External dashboard. What's this? Oh, I could add. I see. I can add a link to my external dashboards. Let's go back to our pipelines. Still progressing through license management, but see SAST, test, dependency scanning, container scanning, all passed. That's great. Just gonna add a note for myself while we're waiting that we should consider adding Helm, Ingress, and Prometheus by default when attaching clusters, especially since I saw that we have uninstall. So I presume we could make that kind of an opt-out. We automatically install them and then can remove them. Going back. Code quality still running. I'm gonna close some of these. I was looking around at tracing, which we did not have installed, and settings for instance. This was my cluster. And this was that Auto DevOps is installed or enabled on this project. Okay. Still waiting for the pipeline to run for code quality to finish. Let's just jump into this pipeline, see what it's doing. Looks like it's running code climate. So we can read a little bit ahead. There's a test that it said it was going to run, which it ran. Seeing monitoring, we can go to that. I've got that tab up and running. It's going to show me different things I can look at. Look at the web terminal for that container. And then what I'd like to do is do an edit and see that deployed to production. And then I think that completes this portion of at least getting Auto DevOps set up. All right, we're in the deploy to production job in this pipeline. Looks like it's creating a chart, installing Postgres, creating a release for production, waiting for the deployment rollout to finish. It's updating various pods. Let's see if that now shows up that we have the environment set up. No, not yet. Oh wait, no, there it was. Something was showing up there. We do have the deployment, and there you go, it's running. So now that I have this environment set up, the monitoring of that environment specifically, waiting for some data to come back. Okay, so a couple of no data to display, some latency information coming back already. Doesn't look like these charts get me anywhere. It's a little bit confusing that it's showing me charts, and maybe that means there's never going to be any data, or there's just not any data at the moment. You can change the time period in the environment. It's cool. Let's go back to this. Look at the terminal. Let's just make sure there's something there. All right, there we go. This is my application. It's deployed to this address. It has the content that I was expecting from this kind of Hello World app. See if I just refresh it a bunch, it starts giving me more latency and request information. There you go, no errors, but I'm starting to see some data. Latency's been low. I should develop some way to test this by putting some more load than just me refreshing on my browser. That might be good for the next speed run. Okay, so I was also going to look at this web terminal. So this is a terminal for that environment. There's a Docker file. I'm actually not familiar with the structure of this app, so that is interesting. I will jump back. I guess I could redeploy to the environment. I don't want to do that right now. Let's do this. Let's create an issue in this project and do some of the idea to production stuff. Actually, let's skip that. Let's just jump to editing it directly in the repository. We have this up. I think the thing that will adjust is if I adjust this. Yeah, it said welcome to Express. So let's change that to hi everyone. Welcome to Express. And hi everyone. I'm going to create a merge request. What I'd like to see is that I can see a review app of this, hopefully, prior to deploying it to production. So I have a commit and a merge request. Pipeline's kicked off. That pipeline is going to run. Have these different components. I'm hoping, yeah, there's a review app in here that includes a DAST scan on the review app. And then we'll see if all that runs. And then when we successfully merge after the pipeline runs, if that updates the production app. Again, let's see if these metrics came through. Okay, so some latency when I hit refresh a bunch of times. Some non-error code statuses also. Okay, close this terminal. We're looking at the production environment. Yeah, that's what we were showing before. And then the cluster itself. All right. And as we add more review apps, we should see additional load on this server, on that cluster. It's going to take some time for these review apps to run. Why don't we do this? Why don't we create another one also? There's a style sheet. Maybe I can change the style sheet, and that will be another edit. I can have a different review app for. This is public style sheets. Let's go ahead and edit this. Let's just make the font larger for everything. Okay, so two merge requests, one that makes the font bigger and the other one that adds hi everyone. And we're gonna see both of those have review apps created, hopefully, and then deploy both to production and see those updated in the production site. Build successful. Let's see if this pipeline moved on. Specific pipeline. That one's still building. Well, that's kind of cool. It's showing the last 8 hours, but it doesn't show a bunch of blanks before anything was created. It's just showing me where I had data. Looks like it's a little bit slow after I hit those refresh. I'm not sure how long it takes for the metrics to get to the dashboard, but I don't see those requests I made showing up just yet. Build is done on this second merge request. waiting. Thought I had another suggestion that now I've forgotten. I don't think I had it. This code quality test seems to be the longest running one. This is for that last job when it got deployed to production. Oh, that's interesting. No, it just needs to be refreshed. There you go. Okay, everything ran. Let's look at this performance job that ran last time. So it looks like built a container. It ran some test runs against that. That's probably what I was seeing in the metrics, is those test runs. And then it's moved over. Well, let's look at the artifacts from this job. It gave me this output file that said the score was 95. Interesting. Maybe I need to look at this in pipelines themselves. So this is one that, this is the pipeline that passed. I'm not sure how I get to see the results of that performance test. Said it sent me the artifact as that performance.json file. I could look at it, but I would have expected that to show up somewhere. Maybe it shows up in the merge request, but since this pipeline was run without one, I didn't see it. We'll see if it shows up in these later ones. Okay, this hi everyone is deploying to the review app. Just like before, it sees that there's no deployment. Now it's waiting to see the rollout finish. I'm gonna go back to the merge requests. So it should show up. Security scanning, found no vulnerabilities, no new licenses detected, code quality was good. We finished, it's deploying to, okay, here we go. Now it has deployed to the review app. Let's look at that review app. Hi everyone, welcome to Express. Cool. It updated as appropriate. Now it's running DAS scanning, and then it'll run performance scanning, and then it'll clean up. I'm going to go ahead and say that my review of the review app looks good. It's going to merge when the rest of this pipeline succeeds. So that was one of them. Let's go back to the other merge requests. We said make the font bigger. That one is still running tests. We're going to see it deploy to that review app when it's ready. And we should also see this update once the merge requests, the rest of that pipeline has succeeded and it deploys to production after merge. So let's keep an eye on that other one too. Huh, what does this reviews thing say? Enable visual reviews. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's cool. I could provide visual review feedback. This was the job to deploy to the review app, which we saw complete. Now this one for adding the bigger font is deploying to a review app. So make the font bigger. Looks like test is passed. Review app is running. Let's follow this progress. Waiting for replicas to be available. Okay, successfully rolled out. Make the font bigger. Okay, it's rolled out. Let's view the app. Oh, yep, looks bigger. Okay, but notice it doesn't have that other change. So when we merge, we should see them merge without conflict. They were on different files. So this one, again, I'm going to hit merge when pipeline succeeds. What I want to make sure happens is that after these commit pipelines run, that there's a post-merge pipeline that deploys to production, and that we see both of those changes in our production app. Just open both of them again. This one we saw complete. This was the initial pipeline run after we enabled Auto DevOps and had a Kubernetes cluster and were deployed to production. This was the artifact I was speaking about for performance. See, this still says my last update was 15 minutes ago. This is the job that did it, and this is the commit. So we should eventually see this updated once the rest of these pipelines complete. So SaaS completed, we're running performance right now. Oh, it looks like we detected 4 new vulnerabilities. Gotcha. What can I do with those? Oh, cool. I can create an issue from those vulnerabilities. I can dismiss them. Looks like it can even add a comment when I dismiss them. Let's see if I can just straight up dismiss without adding a comment. Create an issue from it. Oh, that's cool. That's the issue right there. Even has the identifier. Okay, so this whole thing, pipeline completed, it then said it's merged, and here's the post-merge pipeline run. That's going to have it run my tests again, and then deploy to production. So we move to performance here, and then we'll have a cleanup job. Let me go back to that last merge request, not the pipeline. I merged one. I wanted to check if there was performance information. Did not look like it. We ran a performance test, but I didn't see that show up anywhere. Interesting. That's this. Where are those performance results displayed? This one's deployed, still deploying to production. Running those tests we mentioned. That pipeline is running here. This is the merge branch. This was the issue I created. I'll just go ahead and close that issue. This is for production environment. Let's see. Looks like we'd already run our cleanup job, so we didn't have the other environment, but that I should have seen another environment available for the review app. So this is a test running on the now merged code before we deploy to production. Let's check out this pipeline. Starting to run. This one's still waiting on code quality. The other thing, so I think our merge requests are now both merged, so we can close that. Let's go back to the top level of our project. So this our last commit was this second one. So one thing I did want to check was, let's look at our operations dashboard. This is my personal one, so I'll just, for the sake of this, I will trash some of these. And let's add a project. Can I have this project? Huh, that is weird. Some bugginess on entry, and I figured I'd just have to add the URL, but it needs me to add the name of the project only. Okay, so 0 alerts. It's running on a current pipeline is running. This is the last commit that pipeline is running from. License management is done. Waiting on code quality. I'm gonna keep this environment up, and then these are the metrics. Yeah, I haven't seen any of these other metrics available. No, this one was available. Maybe, no, Knative function invocation. That doesn't really make sense to me. All the rest of these have no data to display. I was kind of expecting those to look like this. And those are probably scoped to just this environment, so that makes sense. Maybe there are some unique metrics about the cluster and the system that are unique to this environment, but there's no data here, and that seems strange to me. Okay, this one is now deploying to production. So if we look at our environment, it's last deployed 24 minutes ago. We can look at this specifically. No, still pulling the Docker image. Just thinking that it would tell me it's running. Current project running. That doesn't make much sense to me, I'll be honest. Grab a screen grab of that real quick. Okay. Okay, let's go back. This was deploying. Oh, job succeeded. Let's see what happened. Did we get? Oh, cool. Look at that. Production site is now updated. That's great. And close that. This MR. So let's see what it says. Let's say it's done. It's deployed. Oh, it says it is deployed to production just now. Ah, that's where it's giving me some memory usage performance information. Huh. That is very interesting. I was kind of expecting that to be in the review app, but that makes sense that it would want to compare like to like. It's running a performance app. And that was telling me something about memory usage. It still tells me no data to display here. Okay. And then this is the second one. Currently deploying to production. Waiting for those replicas to finish. Ah, and then the font's bigger. Cool. So that was done. This make the font bigger. Merge request. Also giving me some deployment statistics. Again, memory usage decreased. I'm actually not sure why that would have happened. So that is interesting. But here we are, and we have an environment, and hopefully this environment tells me that it was deployed just now, that the last one was this bigger font, that this was the job that deployed to it, that there's been 5 deployments to this. Here's the actual pod logs for the production pod. And then we were looking at the metrics. Again, some issue with these system metrics. Otherwise, getting metrics in from this environment specifically. Oh, and then cool, it's got 2 little deployment things. Although that's interesting. It says that they deployed 9 minutes ago. But that wasn't, they just now deployed. Let's make a note of that. Deploy markers. Maybe they're aligned to, maybe they're aligned to the, when the commit merge. Okay, and then we see these cluster metrics. I wonder if that's going to have my deployments in it. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's see maybe the memory usage dropped because those review apps were destroyed. Wonder why that showed up when it did. Okay, But in summary, Auto DevOps, I think, worked as described. A couple of kinks in just the process, but otherwise, easy for me to use a template, have that attach a Kubernetes cluster and have that deploy, and not only just deploy the application, but run a series of tests for me, as well as when I'm doing merge requests, give me review apps to review the changes in a pseudo production environment. Super cool. I will use these notes and create a set of follow-up action items. Thank you very much for all those who are watching this video in recorded form. Take care.